Welcome back to another episode of the Soul Seekers podcast. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm your host, Johnny Mack, and I am recording live from the Huxworks booth, Huxworks Safety Company, here in Las Vegas, Nevada, live at SHOT Show. And I'm joined with the owner and founder of Huntleague. It is, well, I'm going to save what it is for the introduction, but got Jared Newman. He's an amazing person and running an amazing platform. And I want to highlight everything he does because he is 100% believing and a believer and supporter of the mission of mentorship as conservation.
100%.
So, brother, how you doing, man?
It's good to finally meet you in person.
I know.
I never thought the in-person would be in Las Vegas, Nevada, but SHOT Show is a great place just to kind of connect people from all around the country, man. It's massive.
I totally agree. Where are you from again?
I'm from Colorado Springs area, like just north of it, Monument, Colorado.
Yeah. I love it. So I was originally in the state of Washington, which when we first connected, it was during that COVID chaos.
Oh, yeah.
And I relocated to the Lone Star State. It's awesome.
Well, I used to be just above you in Oklahoma. I grew up, spent all my growing up years in Oklahoma, moved out to Colorado in 2005, so been out there for, moved west about 20 years ago almost.
Yeah. Oh, I love it. Okay, so real quick for all you listeners watching, this is a video podcast as well, which is pretty awesome. The first of more to come is what's going to be happening. But those of you who are tuning in this episode, I want you to understand that here at Soul Seekers, we believe that hunting has the power to transform lives through primal adventure. We believe that mentorship is conservation. And if we want hunting to last, then you got to invest in the hearts and lives of other people. When I heard about Huntleague and what it does and what its purpose is, I was like, all right, I can get behind this. I am all about what's happening here. So, Jared, give a little rundown on what Huntleague is, and then we're going to dive into everything going from there.
Absolutely. So, my whole life, I've grown up where story is always like a central thing, like capturing somebody's story, telling stories, like the power of story, it transforms lives.
Yeah.
I know like my life was transformed through, powerful stories. And I grew up in a family of storytellers. So my brother's a writer, my dad's a producer. We've done a lot of films, TV series, a lot of productions, stage shows. I've grown up in and around the arts my whole life. Spent most of my formative years growing up on a touring bus, traveling, sharing stories.
Yeah.
And that's always been a central part of my life. And then as I got into hunting, I wanted a better tool to be able to capture the story of my hunt. Because I feel like, it's not just like showing somebody like this is, here's a head from a hunt that happened 20 years ago.
Right.
But it's like, no, I wanted like the intimate details of the story, like from the time of day to the location to what else happened that day, pictures, video, audio notes. Everything is captured inside the Huntleague app, and it's really about capturing the story of the hunt in a way that you can share that with others. And some people, when I start to say this, share that with others, get freaked out because it's like, wait, you can't, I don't want to give my location, my honey hole. And it's like, no, like,
yeah,
obviously, like I'm a hunter.
Right.
Like I get that fully.
Yeah, right.
So when you share a hunt with somebody, like there's different types of sharing. Like there's sharing with the community at large, or it's like, I want to share this story.
Right.
And people can view kind of the details of the hunt, but they don't get any location information. They can just see, here's the time of day, here's what I saw, here's pictures, here's some video, here's some really cool stuff. But then if you have a buddy that maybe you hunt with, then I can hit another toggle to like share GPS with them. And there might only be one or two people in the world that you do that with.
Right.
But it's well thought through from a hunting perspective. You're not giving up anything, but it is a really powerful tool to be able to share the story of your hunt. And like one of the things that I get excited about, when you have this tagline of mentoring is conservation.
Yeah.
A big part of that to me is like our story. So statistics and stuff that we have for hunting, it's great, but it doesn't really move people. Like in a lot of ways, you can say whether something's on the decline, something's on the rise, how the North American model of conservation has, been so successful over the last century. But some people just glaze over when you start talking about the statistics and those things. But when you start sharing stories, like it changes people, it changes perspective. And I get so excited when I think about how we can capture stories and be able to share what was happening in an area before something, after something, because there's all these events that are happening all around us, whether it's natural forest fires, whether that's, the reintroduction of wolves, which we're dealing with in Colorado,
right?
Or, Colorado is once again on the forefront of being really dumb with the way that they're approaching wildlife management and bringing it to the ballot. Like they can't win based on sound science, so they're trying to win based on storytelling and human emotion. They're It's crazy,
dude. The ballot box initiative movement is going to be, if hunters are not careful, it's gonna take over.
Yeah.
Because the minute that you tug on people's heartstrings, you don't actually need to kill these animals. They're soft and cuddly, and look how beautiful they are, and all this.
Yep.
And it's like, well,
that's what they're having middle school kids right now name the wolves that they're releasing.
Yep, can't do that.
And it's like, why are they doing that? They're humanizing them, and they're trying to make these connections with these kids. And it's like, well, no, we would never hunt these. We want these on the landscape. And no, it's okay that they kill all of our elk and all of our moose. And it's like, what are you talking about? This is crazy.
Yeah, I saw on Twitter the other day, there was this graphic, and it showed a graph of the most eaten proteins, animal proteins in the world. And it showed I don't even remember what was the lowest, but all the way to the highest animal. The highest animal, take a guess.
It's not a cow, I'm guessing, because that would be what I would assume,
Not
but then
a cow.
maybe a chicken.
So chicken was the highest, but you know what was higher than beef? Dog. Dog
on
is,
the world, on a global level.
Scale, dog is consumed more. But you say that to people in North America, and all of a sudden, like, you can't do that. That's like, how dare you? And it's like, well, here's the data from the global resource of like, out of all the animals that humans consume, dog is actually higher than
cattle.
Yeah.
And I do understand, because like, in order to really manage cattle, they consume so much food. And I know that, like, I've read those little studies of, with our population, humans need to start eating bugs and like crickets and switching to those types of proteins.
Get out of here.
Yeah. I'm not super interested in that personally, but I understand the logic of why they're leading that direction.
I mean, are we surviving or are we thriving? Because there's a big difference between those two.
Yeah.
Here's a question I have for you. So you're all about sharing the hunt, telling the story. I love that. That is where the connection, the personal connection to inspire comes from, right? Yeah. We, as little children, look up to heroes. Why? Because the journeys that they've done, the experiences, we see it, we hear it, our senses are engaged. You have a guy, who Steve Rinella's brother, Matt Rinella.
Yep.
The Hunt Quietly push.
Yep.
I mean, they're pushing things like, cameras really shouldn't be in the woods, and videoing is not a part of hunting.
Look, I can understand it.
Yeah.
I can understand his perspective too, but I would also argue and articulate one of the very first forms of human storytelling has been done through cave paintings and things, that like, if you go all the way back thousands of years, like, what were they depicting? Mm-hmm. And it was stories from the hunt.
Right.
I mean, that is almost the primary form of communication, because part of it was a survival method, but also part of it was like, that was how you trained the next generation.
Right.
Even when we look at, I mean, there's so many things that we could dive into on that front, but like storytelling and passing on how the hunts happened, how they occurred, and the legends of hunters.
Yes.
From old. I mean, that was the original form of like storytelling and cave paintings that we see.
Right.
And what I would look at, like what we're doing with Huntleague, is it's the evolution of what has been done, whether it's looking back all the way from ancient cave paintings to, the journals of some of these greats that have come before us. I mean, even like looking at stuff like Teddy Roosevelt's journals and stuff, like the hunts that they got to do, just 150, 200 years ago here in the United States. I mean, you look at Lewis and Clark's expedition across the West. Those types of stories inspire us. Mm-hmm. And there's I'm not going to take anything away from that. And like capturing the power of story, sharing those stories, they inspired the next generation to live and dream, and pursue their own adventures.
So the interesting thing is I'm giving a bear hunting seminar at the Western Hunt Expo here in February.
Yeah.
By the way, shout out, if you're going to be at the Western Hunt Expo, come check out my seminar on Friday at 12:30 and Sunday at 12:30. So
love it.
Come do that. But when I'm giving the seminar, if I went up there without any sort of visuals, and I'm just up there lecturing about, hey, here's how you bear hunt, and this is what's going on.
Yeah.
I'm gonna lose interest, lose the crowd, and the delivery is just not there.
But and I would say, all right, now play devil's advocate on it, and it's like there's a reason why I think there's some negative connotations with it, because some people care more about building their platform. Mm-hmm. And the reason why they're taking cameras and the reason why they're doing that stuff has more to do with their own egos and more to do with them than it is passing on the skill sets and the things that are a part of the hunt that would actually help others be successful. Like, I think there's two sides of that coin, where one is really self-promotion and the other is how I can pass on kind of this mentorship is conservation.
Yeah.
And to me, it's like, which side of the coin, what's the motivation of your heart? And that's really hard to discern. And so I can't wholesale or flippantly say
one is better than the other.
Yeah, like, no, you
right
should not do that, because I don't know the motivation of your heart and really what's driving you. But I can tell you, people that are capturing stories with the intent of sharing that with others, and even just like, even if it's not with the intent of sharing with others, even if it's just like, so you capture the story and you get to celebrate it.
Yeah.
Like, that stuff to me is a worthy endeavor, and it's something fun, and does it add value to your experience?
Right.
And it's like, I don't want to take something away that's going to add value to your experience. Mm-hmm. So,
I just love everything. You're very articulate, by the way. You're talking through this well, and all you listeners, like, hear what's being said, hear what Jared's sharing, because it's powerful. And I'm a huge believer and proponent of inward reflection leads to outward correction.
Yeah.
So before you just make a snap judgment decision of like, oh, I'm going to always have my cell phone with me, or no, I shouldn't film, or, do it for the gram, baby, or, like whatever the slogan or motto is, that reflect inside yourself. I walk a fine line constantly with my brand of soul seekers, because in order for me to promote my mission, I also have to promote in a different light as well.
Yep.
And so I don't constantly want to be pushing brands, because then it waters down the meaning and purpose behind my mission. And at the same time, if I'm only pushing my mission and I'm not supporting the companies that support me, it's a lot, money makes the world go round, and it's a lot easier to have financial backing so that I can be here at SHOT Show to record, rather than, telling my wife, hey, I'm taking these days off work and I'm not getting paid and I have to, that is tough.
Yep.
You know firsthand all about that.
No, it's incredibly difficult, and we're kind of in a similar situation where, like, when I set out to build Huntleague, really it was, the foundation of it was me connect with a couple guys that I elk hunt with year over year.
Yeah. And
we really wanted to have something where we would get together at the end of a season and do kind of a celebrate the season. Hopefully there was meat. There were some seasons where we had to go buy some stuff and bring it, and that's the cookout. But we would get together and talk and share the story, and a lot of it had to do with like the different blunders that happened. It was like, all right, who had the biggest blunder this year? Yeah. Like, man, the elk came right in on a string, and then this happened, and it blew up. Mm-hmm. So we always had those stories, but we had the stories too of like, okay, like you could remember details, meaning I know where I was when I saw this elk walking down that, and like I know I could go back to that spot next year. But some of the stuff that started to fade quickly over time was that at the beginning of the season? Meaning, like, if we just look at September as a month, when I was doing that cow call sequence, or when I was doing this bugle, was that bull responding to me at the beginning, like September 2nd, or was this happening more at the end of September 30th, was I seeing more solo bulls and satellites and stuff early, late, like the timing within, and even the timing within a day? Was that at first light, last light, midday? Like, how late into midday? And you started wanting to put some of those pieces together.
Right.
and we didn't really have the tools to be able to share those stories correctly. And like we can share points with, like there's other apps that, like Huntleague has maps. Is it Onyx? Is it Basemap? It's like doesn't even compete in that realm. And I'm like, yeah, I don't really even want to rebuild Onyx or Basemap or GoHunt's map system. It's like they've spent millions of dollars.
Right.
And when I've built Huntleague out, this has been self-funded. Like when you talk about like making money and like figuring out partners, it's like, no, like I've just been building this, going like, this is an important thing for me. And I want to be able to build this, share these stories. And it really started with me and a group of guys. But then when you start realizing like, all right, if we want an app that's going to go to just like our group of friends, it's kind of hard to just do that in the app store.
Yeah.
So it was like, all right, we'll like,
make it for everyone.
We're going to dream a little bigger. And so then it just kind of began something. And I'll tell you, the support that we've had from companies has been unbelievable.
Such as Huxworks. Shout out to them.
Huge shout out to Huxworks. I mean, since this is a video podcast, I'm going to grab something like this. And Huxworks won one of our total like best overall Gear of the Year awards. So we did a Gear of the Year award with some of our different sponsors. We highlighted 10 different companies. We had like a low budget and a kind of a best gifts.
Yeah.
And so some of the stuff was like $10, like, hey, get like Wuru Wool for blister care is like a game changer.
Right.
And so we highlighted that, and it's like, that's under $10 you can get Wuru Wool, which is hard to say.
I did speech therapy as a child for my R's and W's specifically, so Wuru. Okay, I want to digress for a second, because what you were talking about was it early September, was it late September, was it morning, was it midday, all this stuff. I've learned through my communications with a lot of old-time good hunters, good, successful hunters, that a lot of them are actually, they will detail everything. They keep a journal of all their hunts. That's not me. I feel like I'm more of like an elephant. I just can remember. It's like a steel trap. Hopefully, Lord God, please let my mind stay straight.
Stay strong.
Yeah. But is that kind of the inspiration, is knowing that, but those journals never got shared, right?
Yep.
And
or until later in life,
Yeah.
So I would say when I started, I was kind of that, I wanted, like, I'm a data guy. Okay. So I approach things like, my background is kind of engineering, numbers. I really love putting data together. I do a lot of, like, career-wise, I do a lot of data analysis and work with TV stations, networks, producing shows. We're tracking like when we're gaining viewers, losing viewers, all that fun stuff. Now, when it comes to hunting, like early on, I was like, all right, I want to start. The first year I just went in and never hiked 1,000,000 miles and never saw an elk, but then, and didn't have anything to like show for it. And I was like, all right, I want to start like getting better. So about year 3 for me is when it started to go like, I need to start documenting this stuff. And at this time, it was still like a handheld GPS, but nothing connected to your phone, all of that stuff. So I started writing, had a journal, and then my first journal got wet and ruined. And so I was like, oh, cool. Like, that's gone. Found out about write in the rain journals, which you can like write in, the pages don't ruin. Yeah. And I was like, okay, so upgraded to the write in the rain. And they kind of had some details, like it already had some pre-filled out stuff. So you could put the date and you could put like location, you could put some information and then start recording. Well, the thing that I found was I did a decent job of recording that, but I did a poor job of going back and actually reflecting on the data I was recording. So, I mean, the data in recording it is only as good as how it's going to be used in the future.
Right.
And what ended up happening for me is I wasn't able to use that and utilize that tool to the fullest until I started going like, I don't know why Onyx, I don't know why some of these don't already have these kind of aspects. And after Huntleague kind of came out and released, it's like, okay, now Onyx added where you can add a photo, and now Onyx, and like now they're adding a couple more details to where you can add some stuff, but it's still not built out the way that I like to like review and look and sort stuff, because everything is built into a single day. Like a hunt log is one day. Like that's a frustration for some people because they want to do like a whole hunt. Like if I'm doing an 8-day hunt, I want one collective 8-day hunt.
Right.
The problem is, on an 8-day hunt, and why I wanted to segment those was you're going to have some good days and you're going to have some bad days on that journey.
Right.
And so I wanted to be able to rate each day. So at the end of the day, it's an arbitrary rating that you kind of put like score this per species, because you can add different species to that log. And I wanted to be able to sort. So when I go back, I'm like, I want to only show me the hunts that I scored above an 80%. And then that's what will show up on my map. That's what will show up in my logs. And I can go back in and review those things to remember like some of the highlight stuff. Or I can go back and look at like, what are some of those days that were ranked really low? And I can see maybe what time of year those were and like, or what locations, or what are some of the common denominators or factors that you can kind of explore,
Right.
So
I just want to give a shout out. I'm going to shift gears for a second to Joshua Katanik.
Come on now.
Josh Katanik was nominated for Sportsman
Outdoorsman of the Year.
Outdoorsman of the Year.
One of three.
Top 3 finalists. He didn't win it though, did he?
We don't know yet.
Oh, we don't know.
So here's the status. Tonight, I'm recording a podcast with him.
With Josh?
With Josh.
Can I join?
You should. You should. Tonight at 6 p.m.
Okay.
We're recording with Josh, and he's got 30 minutes on the clock to tell some of his story. We've got specific questions lined up. We're gonna do that with each of the 3 finalists this week. We're recording this week. That will go so that not only our community can listen to their stories more, but we're going to let the judges panel listen in to. And so what we do, we just kind of jump to a whole different thing because we talked about storytelling and now we're talking about leagues. And the name of the app is Huntleague. What we've done is when somebody creates a hunt log, almost like, if somebody has any familiarity with like fantasy football, like if they catch something, if they pass, if they get these yardage, touchdowns, there's points. Now, unlike a traditional like hunting contest or competition or league that is really solely based on the number of animals you harvest or the size of an animal, we're a story-based app. So it has nothing to do with really the size of an animal. Our point system doesn't connect to size. It does connect, but so really it's more about the work that goes into it, the number of days you've spent in the field. We have these daily check boxes like this invest, where it's invest in yourself or others. You have a train, like are you training today, physically training? Did you shoot today? Don't care if it's a bow, a pistol, a rifle. Did you shoot?
Dry fire or whatever.
Yes, did you shoot today? And there's 3 daily check boxes. You don't have to add data. You're not adding pictures, video, anything like that to it. You're just checking those boxes. But at the end of the year, what you can do is you can look back and see how much time, how much preparation was I putting in. And when you go out, you're not just logging your hunts, you're logging your scout activity. You're logging the times that you go out just as a pack mule. We have a pack mule thing where it's like, I just went out to go help somebody. We have a mentoring, like if I'm going out, like I'm taking my son out and it's a mentor hunt, I can click, I'm mentoring somebody. And then it's, then it'll ask, are you hunting or just the person you're taking with you? And you've got all these different things that set up these different types of hunt logs. But at the end of the year, it culminates into how much time they spent in the field. The success, the stories, how often they're sharing their stories with people in the community. It really takes into account the whole thing that goes into the season.
Okay, you bring up so many awesome points. Big question.
Yes, sir.
What if you're not that good of a hunter? What if you're not successful with harvesting animals? Then what? Like, how can you, is Huntleague still for me?
So, totally a great question. One of the things that we talk about is our point system that we have built, which is always going to be flawed. Because, how do you make a point system? I tried unbelievable amount of effort last year to get a deer tag in the state of Colorado. It never happened. So applied in the first draw, applied in the second draw, waited for the leftover list to come, and then didn't get it on the leftover. And I'm not applying, and I'm not looking for these golden ticket deer hunts. I was looking for any hunt west of I-25 that would just put me in the mountains. Because if you're out east, you're on private land, you're in the plains.
You're in the flat land.
Yeah, and I was
the mountains.
And I just wanted to go do a mountain hunt. That's all the experience I was looking for. Didn't care where, didn't care if it was with a bow, a rifle, anything that was available. Then every Wednesday, they released the list at 11 a.m. with updated tags. And I was on every week at 11 a.m. trying to get a tag. It was because there were tags that get turned back in, people get injured, all that stuff. I it was the definition of insanity, doing the same thing over and over again.
And expecting different results.
I never got a different result. Struck out, and I was like, I cannot believe it is this hard to get a deer tag in my own state. Like, I'm a resident. But growing up in Oklahoma, you could just go to Walmart and you could buy a tag, and not just a tag, but you can get multiple. 4 does and $2. And it was like, and then you go down to Texas, you can go to Florida where you can get a buck, like, like $2 a day every day. It's just crazy. So it's like, how do you do that? And so we have all these different algorithms based on, like, when you finish on, it asks, are you hunting high fence, private property? Is this public land? Is it, and we have weighted values that kind of go into the whole equation. And then there's limits on things, like in terms of, like, once you've already, like, if you've already shot 2 or 3 deer, you're going to hit your cap on success points in a season for that species.
Yeah.
So after that, it's more about how many days you're spending in the field. And, but we could look and go, how do you do a point system where, like, let's say you and I have the same tag, we both scouted, opening morning, you're set up, it's 6 a.m., and that bull that you've been scouting crest the hill, and boom, everything lines up. Your season's over within 10 minutes.
And you're losing out on all these days of field.
All the days in the field. So what happens to me, who, like, maybe I passed on a few animals, and then on day 30, I take a cow. But it's like, but cumulatively, I might have more points than you because of the process of the way that the point system works. So we know the point system is flawed, and will always be flawed because you can't take into account every type of experience. But what you can do is you can look at the work people are putting in. Like, we had a guy, Rich Mays, who is in California, San Diego area, heavily a part of the conversation for Outdoorsman of the Year. Was the judges were kind of like, all right, do we consider him? He logged over 550 of those, like, daily challenge things. So, like, over 200 days shooting, over 200 days investing, and his training was a little bit lower. Like, I think he was, like, just under 100. But we didn't knock him because the guy works landscaping as a career.
So he's doing it,
and he's doing it all day long. And he's like, yeah, some days when I come home, I'm not really in the mood to go pound out another workout because for 8 hours I've been moving concrete.
Okay, all right. So it's good for everybody. And it's a way to network and to, like, because I've joined a fantasy football league where I don't know anyone else in the league. It's just like, but you can develop these relationships. It takes effort. It takes courage to reach out, get out of your comfort zone. But when you join a hunt league, you can create a community.
100%. The community in Huntleague is unbelievable. Like, it's not like social media and Instagram where people are dogging you because you're using this method of take, or you're not a real hunter because there's none of that. We have real, genuine, like, people, friendships, and people hunt, like Brad from Hucksworks right here sitting with us.
Brad.
Big boy Brad, Auburn. Those guys came out, and we did some stuff this past year in Oregon, bringing together guys from the Huntleague community. We had multiple people that had never hunted together that all came together and hunted. And it wasn't just because we were putting something on. Like, we're watching that happen all around the country. When we were on the conversation with the judges panel, which we used the past winners, the Outdoorsman of the Year champions from 2020, 2021, and 2022, they were the ones that selected the finalists for this year. Like, who's going to the real judges panel that's going to end up winning this thing.
Right.
And if you look at the ranking, like, all right, here's our point system, here's this. The number one guy who I was like, oh my gosh, he had an unbelievable season. He was one of the finalists for our Sweet September, like, Archery Elk League. He didn't even get in, and he logged so many hunts, put in so much effort, was successful on a bear, an elk, like, had a great deer. He took his dad to Montana, like, had all the right things, but our judges, our previous champions didn't pick him. Katanic was like the one, your buddy was like the one on the chopping block where it was like one of the guys was like, no, he didn't use the app enough. He wasn't this and this. The other guys were like, dude, his season was so unbelievable. How do you not?
Yeah.
And there was a lot of, and it was like, do we knock somebody because they signed up late in the year? Because a lot of Katanic's, a lot of his hunts were done. He had spring turkey success. He had spring bear success. He harvested a wolf. He had a lot of things that were done in the spring prior to him even downloading the app. But he was able to go in, and you can create, like, backlogs and stuff from your season. So you can go back in off memory, or if you have pictures, photos, you can add that stuff to a hunt log later. But that was something that the judges were like debating, and I was like, is he deserving or is this guy deserving who used the app the whole time? Also had a great year.
Right. Like, so what is it, January 23rd today?
Yep.
And I don't have anything going in Huntleague.
Yep.
Am I now going to get docked? I do 100 burpees every day. So I'm 2,300 burpees into the year. I hit them this morning in the hotel before we got going.
Do you time it?
No, not yet. But I know that if I can do 100 under 10 minutes, that'll be ideal. But I'm not there yet. Like, I was out of shape.
It's brutal.
I got some work
Those
to
are
do.
so hard.
Yeah.
Congratulations on that level of discipline.
Well, my thing is I chose burpees because they suck.
Oh, they
and
suck.
I hate them. The hardest one is the very first one.
Oh, yeah.
The very first one. Why I'm drawing a connection right here is Huntleague is about accountability.
Absolutely.
And so I'm like, okay, if my accountability to myself, like last night I was out at dinner with Hornady and Horizon Firearms talking about 22 Creedmoor, learning all about that. Well, I taught school in the morning. I flew out to Vegas. I went out to dinner, and I didn't even get back to my hotel until 12:30. But I was like, I haven't done my burpees yet today. I got to do them. And I knocked them out, and I was accountable to my own self before
you hit the bed.
Yeah.
You got your burpees in.
And so I'm like, okay, now I can get rewarded or get into a community of accountability for those burpees, but also hunting.
Yeah.
Like, I'm like, oh, let's kill two birds with one stone and show that I'm getting my points in on the Huntleague while I'm also seeking to do more and going through that recalibration in my own life.
Okay, so I'm going to let a little cat out of the bag, like little announcement. So we do have some sponsors, like I don't know if you've ever used the Mountain Tough fitness app, but like Mountain Tough.
Soul 30 free 30-day trial.
Okay.
Shout out.
Yeah, they're awesome. They do 100, like one of their challenges is like 100 burpee thing. It's in there.
Yeah.
And like I've tried to do that for time, like I want to get under I think I got it once, but like under 8, like you said, under 10, and under 10 is a grind. But like if you can
one
just
every
go,
6 seconds.
Oh my gosh! Like I'm trying to do one every like 12 a minute, and then if you do 8 minutes, that's 96. So then I'm like, okay, I need to get 13 on these first couple minutes, and
it's hard.
Oh my gosh, it's the worst. It's terrible, but it's just like elk hunting. No, but I'm wearing a hat that's Hunt, Hike, Harvest. They're a group out of Denver. They do some science-based training stuff that's super cool. We are getting ready to launch a league when we do the Outdoorsman of the Year, like the live event.
Yeah.
We're going to launch the Hunt, Hike, Harvest League. When you're talking about like accountability and stuff, they are all about like the training and the preparation for it. But one of the really cool things about it, and when we talk about like community and community development and building, they're going to do like kind of some monthly challenges. So like the winner of February, like monthly challenge, is going to get, instead of just like, here's a prize, like here we're going to send you a Huxworks suppressor, here we're going to send you, and those things are definitely cool, not diminishing that, but we're looking to do more community-oriented and community-based things. So like the person who wins that is going to get like, they'll have the opportunity to do like a rifle match thing that's going to happen in March with the AccuFire. The winner of the March one is going to be able to do the Beast Mode Archery Challenge in Wisconsin with Brian Austin and those guys at their endurance thing. It's an 8-hour like pack challenge where you go around this course. Every lap you're shooting at 2 targets. If you miss a target, you have to go do a punishment lap. It's terrible. But all that stuff is physical training and preparation. We got the Western Hunt Fest. We've got Mountain Archery Fest. All of those groups are associated with this Hunt, Hike, Harvest League.
Yeah.
And so like the winners of these things will be able to go and bring a buddy and go and compete in these. But all those events also have a physical component. Like that team sniper match with AccuFire, they're saying plan on about a 5-mile course where you're carrying all of your equipment. Mm-hmm. You don't get to go back to the truck to get anything. You have to bring tripods, shooting bags, ammunition, everything that you're going to do on that team sniper match. So there's a physical component of it, but we're putting that into this Hunt, Hike, Harvest League, which has a big significant like physical nutrition, all that stuff, training and prepping people for the hunt. But a big part of it is building the community around those things. And we're going to look for ways this year where we get people from the Huntleague community, no matter what state you're in, to kind of like, we're going to travel and do events, do hunts together, it's really cool.
Okay, so I want to partner with you moving forward. I want to do a Soul Seekers League.
Heck yeah.
Or however we do this.
Super easy.
But with that being said, part of what I do here at Soul Seekers is community events. It's about getting people together. You know, social media is great. Listening to podcasts is great, but nothing beats the energy that is built when people join together.
Oh, yeah.
Right?
Like if somebody goes and does that Beast Mode Archery Challenge, there's a partner event where you can do like an 8-hour thing together. You're going to suffer together. And when you do a little bit of suffering or you do something like
Bonds.
that. Oh, yeah. There's some blood, sweat, and tears in it. I mean, it's special.
It's the brotherhood. Is built. Okay, so if I join... I'm speaking like if I'm not familiar with it. If somebody was to join Huntleague, do they have to join a league or can they just log their stuff?
You can just log your stuff. You don't have to join any leagues. The thing that you can't hide from is the leaderboard. Like, and maybe we can make I might toy with like eventually creating a privacy setting where you can remove yourself from the leaderboard.
Don't do it.
I know. It's just like the whole point though. And here's, I expressed this to the judges the other day. One of the things that I watched from the initial start of Huntleague and what we were doing and telling stories and sharing stories to a little bit of the evolution of it. There's a part that is actually making me a little bit sad right now and what I want to see return in 2024. Because I think people get so conditioned that the only stories you want to share is the success story. The thing to me that I love about the community is the authenticity of, I don't care, like it's awesome that you go and harvest a bear. It's awesome that you go and harvest an elk. And it's awesome that happened and that everything came together. But what I care about is all the things that had to happen leading up to that. Like how many days in the field did somebody spend before they got that elk, you know? And I've heard these statistics of like, you know, an archery elk hunter is going to draw their bow 1 out of every like 14 days or something like that, you know, or 7 days, you know, and it's like, I want to know like people in the Huntleague community, like how many days does it take before you have that encounter?
Right.
Whether you even released an arrow, how many days, you know, between encounters and what kind of stuff happens. And I want to see those types of stories because I think that's the story that's important for, like, if we're talking about mentoring as conservation, like if I'm new and coming into this, I want to know what it actually takes, not just what it took to get the animal on the ground when the moment came to be. I want to know, like, these guys that are consistently successful year over year, what are some of the things that they're doing that's actually preparing them for success? And I can look in the app and go, like, this guy is shooting 200 days a year. Like, this guy is training.
I don't shoot enough. That's like,
So one of my things last year, a couple of corrections in that daily challenge, I shot 92 days in 2023. It's the first time that we had the daily challenges logged in the app.
Okay.
The previous years, we didn't have those daily challenges. Last year, we launched that in 2023. So at the end of the year, it gave me some tools to like look at. And I think I was like at 220 something days of working out. So I did really well. My goal is 200 days in the year. So I know you're hitting like 100 burpees a day, and maybe that's just your January challenge, or maybe that's your year challenge.
That was my January challenge.
Yeah.
I want to do it for the whole year. I'm doing that.
I mean, think about it. Let's get into
here's on the podcast. I'm going to do 100 burpees every day.
What are you thinking about when you're on a hunt? Because that was a thing for me. Like, all right.
How do I incorporate that?
You got a hunting day. You got a sick day. You have some stuff. Because I always, the reason why I went with 200, and I'm not trying to get you to back down on your 100 burpees a day.
No, I already have a thought. Go ahead. Tell me.
It's just because I value rest too. I think Sabbath is important. I think recovery is important.
Yeah.
And when you're only doing something like 100 burpees, like you're talking about 8 to 10 minutes, and it's like you can recover from that.
Or 17, depending.
Or 35 if you're just getting started.
I will say this. This is my answer to your question. If I'm on a hunt, how am I going to incorporate those 100 burpees? I do my burpees all at once. But if I'm on a hunt, I'm probably going to knock out.
Break them up during the day.
Yeah, that's because I am a sweater. So wet.
Yeah.
And
I'd strip down. If I'm doing that during September, and Brad knows this because he went on a hunt with me, and my truck broke down, it was hot, and I'm the guy walking around in my undies. And but it's like, dude, if I'm on a hunt, I don't want to sweat in my clothes. I'm like, no, I'm in the woods, man. Like,
dude, be one with God.
You go a little primal.
That's right, baby.
There's no shame here.
Yeah, the listeners don't need to hear that.
And Brad doesn't need to share those photos either.
Yeah, Brad, keep those to yourself, big dog. We got to get a camera pointing on you. So now that
Yeah, he's a part of this.
Shout out to Brad. Anyway, so, okay, I love it. Anyways, Josh Katonic.
Yes.
I met him at one of my community events. He was a follower of Soul Seekers.
Yep.
Came to one of my events. We hit it off, and he is all about getting better. He's like, I want to go through challenges.
Yep.
And at that point in my life, I just got done reading David Goggins' book and Can't Hurt Me. And I'm like, let's go, mother trucker. Like, who's going to carry the boats? And I was like, I want to run a 100-mile ultra marathon. Woo. Why? Because I want to know what hard is.
Yeah.
And I think that's what a lot of humanity misses.
Yeah.
Is there's too comfortable.
Yeah.
Like, I want to know, how far can I go? What is my most difficult limit? For me, so my very first kill was a black bear 9 miles in the backcountry of the state of Washington. I packed that whole bear out solo in one trip. Hide, bone-in, quarters, all that.
Just gutted?
Just gutted.
Okay.
And, well, I broke it down into quarter bags.
It's a good thing it was a cub and only a 30-pound bear.
Oh, yeah, right. So I had not a hunting, air quotes, hunting pack at the time. And so I used to work at REI. I had this North Face backpack, and I put all the stuff in the bag, and it sank right to the bottom, just a giant ball.
Oh, man.
I ended up running a marathon, my very first marathon I ever ran. I was in August, 2 months later, in October. And packing out that bear was and still is the hardest thing I've ever done in my entire life.
Question.
And I've ran marathons. I've ran ultra marathons. And all that stuff is not that hard. So it's really interesting to be like, okay, I want to know what hard is and go get it. Anyway, so shout out to Josh. So him and we signed up to run.
To do the ultra.
Our very first ultra together. And we would run like marathons as training days. One of our longest training runs was a 40-mile run. You're spending 7 hours starting at 4 a.m, 7 hours on a trail, running with somebody. Now, we're not sprinting, so we're able to have conversation.
An 8-hour run.
Yeah, like, going on an 8-hour run, and we would have so much conversation during that time and talk about everything.
Yeah.
Hunting, religion, family, politics, the concrete and the foundation of our lives, because you got a lot of content.
You got
to
some time, and we're doing it again next weekend, and then the next weekend, because you're training for that stuff.
Yeah. So I just want to give a shout out to him, because he didn't join the app right away, but he's the type of person that puts in the work.
Dude, he is the wild card in this. Like, the other two finalists, nobody, like, our community doesn't know Josh the way that they know these other two guys.
Yeah.
Like, so it's going to come down to, like, all right, and we don't want to create the bias with our judges. So we're bringing in judges that are actually from the companies that are participating in the Outdoors of the Year. So we talked, like, when we're talking about the Outdoors of the Year, like, what do you mean companies that are involved? So you have, like, Vortex Optics is a part of that, and they're doing, whoever wins the Outdoors of the Year, they get the item of their choice from Vortex entire catalog.
Sweet.
So, like, these guys are already dreaming of, like, oh my gosh, if I win this, that would be awesome. They get a Seekins, they get to choose which Seekins rifle.
Woo!
And, like, so
I'd be hitting that.
It's freaking fancy.
Yeah.
Which one would you go with?
Well,
are you an Element guy? Are
so
you a
I've
guy?
had an Element on order for them for a long time.
For 7-8 months.
And longer.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, but they just came out with that new Slam, which is the Element, but with a foldable
carbon cheek piece and the whole thing. I mean, it is.
Anyways, that's neither here nor there. So, regardless, that's awesome. You got a lot of support for what you got going on. How can we're going to start a Soul Seekers League?
Love it.
2024 is dedicated to Huntleague and Soul Seekers joining forces, promoting, growing, building community.
Yep.
How does this look?
So creating a league is pretty easy, and how we've created leagues, like Huntleague is going to operate and manage. I think eventually about 12 leagues, like, that we will kind of host, meaning, like, we're going to host the Outdoors of the Year, and that's kind of an all-encompassing league. We're going to host an archery elk league, because that's, like, my passion, and I love it. We host a Apex, kind of a predator league.
By the way, I have my phone out because I'm opening the Hunt League app
there you go.
right now.
So we've got an Apex Predator League. We'll have we might have a waterfowl league. We're doing a deer of the year. We're doing, I'm trying to think of the ones that we're going to manage. So we'll manage about 8 to 12 leagues that we have a Western hunter that's kind of like all your big game species, but it's only in Western states. So like if you shoot it, something
a whitetail on the East Coast,
it doesn't go into that Western Hunt League. So we can make things state specific, geographic specific, species specific, method of take specific, all those things. You can say, do we want the invest, train, shoot points to count towards this league or not towards this league? Do we want it to just be about mentoring, because you can log mentoring stuff? You can do conservation, because when you're in the field, there's a conservation tab. Like if you pick up trash or you help do something throughout the year, like you can log these conservation efforts that you're doing. So you can create a league. Like we had a user that just created a league up in Oregon called the Wild Food League, because he was like, hey, this is something that all hunters want. We all make food. Like we go out and we hunt, and then it's all about food. And it doesn't matter what species you're hunting or what method of take, but we want to do this Wild Food League. He went out and got a load of sponsors to come in, and this is all just him doing it on his own, bringing it. And these are people that he's connected to. He lives up in Oregon, so he has like this like a couple different Portland-based like companies, jumping in. But it's got a wood-fired pizza oven, like some these $400 like knives, like really fancy kitchen stuff. And it's awesome. We're launching this Hunt Hike Harvest League. So there's companies that are going to host leagues. We're having individuals host leagues, where if an individual says, hey, can I just create a league that's for me and my group of like 5 buddies? Yeah. And you create your own rules. Like you can create your own rules, and then you can message inside of a league. You can share hunts within a league. So there's a lot of different things. So when we talk about like a soul seeker league, the sky's the limit on like what we can make it about and how we connect it. And like there's so much community connectedness.
So, because we talked about accountability so much on this episode already, here's what we're going to do.
Yeah.
Is this episode is going to be live January 29th, Monday, January 29th.
Yep.
You're going to be at Western Hunt Expo?
No, I'm taking my boys on a snow goose hunt in Missouri.
Well done.
It's a big sacrifice, because I wanted to be at the expo so bad, but I also know I have such a limited window with my boys.
Yeah.
Like I have a 15-year-old and a 12-year-old. I'm like, I got a couple more years.
Okay. So here's what I'm proud of you. I'm proud of you, by the way. That's good. You got to be a present father and invest in your children.
Thank you.
That's bigger than anything else. But accountability-wise, here's what we're going to do. You and I are going to do an Instagram Live in February.
Okay.
With the intent to start the Soul Seekers League starting March 1st.
I like it.
Because we're going to get that going in preparation for anyone who's doing any predator hunting, kicking into spring turkey, spring bear, summer predator hunting, and then we'll wrap it.
So a lot of our leagues will do like year over year, and we'll just kind of set a start of a calendar year. So, but you can set a specific. I mean, we've had leagues as short as like a 1 month league.
Yeah.
We have a spring turkey league that's just gonna, I have it kind of set to start February 1st, but like really, I think there is some spring turkey that actually happens maybe at the end of January in like Florida and some of these places. I don't know for sure, but I'm like, that's one of the things that when we're creating these leagues, it gets a little bit tricky.
Yeah.
But
let's talk about this. We're going to set up, after we get done recording, we're going to set up a time to do an Instagram Live and promote that league and get all you listeners to sign up. And I'm going to be competing in it also.
That's the fun thing.
It's not just, hey, I'm the supervisor, I'm the teacher, and all my children or students. Yes. Like, no. Compete against me.
See how your season stacks up against the legendary Johnny Mack. And it's like, did he put in the work? Did he go out? Did he create the opportunities? And that's the fun thing. Like, I can't wait, because we can do this. You can have like, whether it's your social media influencers or whatever. And it's like, no, really, like, be vulnerable with the people have them
be a real
come.
person.
Show them how much work you're putting in, not just the picture of you holding an animal. And give us some context. Was that on private land? Was that a guided hunt? Was that this or this? So that we understand what actually goes into this whole equation. Everybody wants to act like it's the public land thing, but it's not always the case. And I'm not calling anybody out on that. And I'm not saying that like hunting private land is bad versus public land, but
I got a lot of perspective on that now, being a Western big game hunter and now moving to Texas.
Texas, where it's private land only
and hunting a lease and all that. So for the sake of time and for the sake of that alarm going off in the background, once again, we're going to wrap this up. Jared, thank you so much for coming on the show, brother.
Absolutely.
I'm honored. And it's a privilege to be in community with you.
Absolutely.
Seriously.
I am super excited to build and grow this together with you.
Oh, thank you. The same. How can I at Soul Seekers support you beyond what we're doing right here?
Oh, brother. I think that one of the things that I would say is, like, if we launch this league,
when we launch this league.
When we do, it's really just being active in it. Like, because I think sometimes people get the idea of, like, I want to create this league, and then if you abandon it, nobody else that's a part of it, so it's like there's an accountability that has to go to that person.
I realized that very quick in Facebook groups.
Yeah.
Where you start a Facebook group, but and I'm like, hey, I want everyone else to be active, but if you're not active, they're not active. And I'm like, well, why is everyone else not being active? It's like, no, it starts with me.
Yeah.
Just like Mahatma Gandhi said, you got to be the change you want to see in the world.
You want to see in the world.
So
I appreciate it, brother. It's been great being on your podcast today.
Absolutely pleasure. Hey, guys, if you enjoyed this show and want to get connected, go to soulseekersnation.com and hit the contact us, or go to any social media platform, follow along. Go download the Huntleague app, get signed up, get prepared. March 1st, we are launching the Soul Seekers League, and I can't wait for that. If you guys want to support the show, you can go and pick up a little merchandise at our online store. Any little bit helps. I'm going to be launching here some new stickers. The Mentorship is Conservation. Slap them on those water bottles and all that good stuff. Anyways, for Johnny Mac, Jared Newman of Huntleague, here live at SHOT Show. Be blessed, freedom on, and as always, stay soulful.